one of the first things I did was literally just one step a day, start repacking my lunch.
Yes.
Right.
Or even changing your lunch. I used to order what was it, like a 6-piece chicken nugget from Dairy Queen?
Yep.
Well, it comes in a 4. So I started ordering the 4.
Yeah. Small actionable steps.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be everything all at once. What's up, y'all? Welcome back. Strong, well-fed, outspoken. If you guys are new here or not, and you just forget our names.
I don't know how anyone can forget us, truly.
Truly, let's be honest, bitch. My name is Rusty, or the Miss Frizzle of Fitness. I am just one of the dynamic duo here.
Are we a dynamic duo? I love that. Well, I'm the other half then. I'm Coach Nel, guys. What's up?
Yeah. How's it going, everybody? We're back. New episode underway. Nell and I were just kind of joking because sometimes we get the ideas for our episodes based off of the theme of our client check-ins that week.
I would say a lot of the time, truly.
Yeah. And it's not that our client check-ins like have a theme where we, give everybody the same theme, but sometimes just I think with the natural course of life, right, we're all so similar, they tend to naturally take on a bit of a theme. And this time of year as well, right, we're just past, I guess, the middle of January. It's that sticking point already, I think, for a lot of people where like our intentions are really good and we really want to accomplish whatever it is that we're setting out to do. But the follow through feels hard right now. The motivation's already coming down. It's been, almost a full month. We're less motivated. We're less driven. If you're living somewhere cold, that automatically I think is
like this week is literally you've made it through the hardest, coldest part, except like where I live, we're back in the deep freeze. I'm talking like minus 35 Celsius right now. And I was actually just saying to my husband, like, we were actually talking about this with Rusty as well, is that like my health is improving, right? We're going through the motions to get better. So if you guys don't know, I was just recently diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. And so it's been a long process. Like, I forget how much harder everything feels when it's cold.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Especially with like autoimmune, and like arthritis is in there as well, right? The weather makes such a difference to everything. Like,
and that's kind of the extreme side of it. But yeah, if you have all of these goals and some of them are requiring you to get up at 5 a.m., but the sun doesn't rise till 9 a.m., that makes it way harder.
It's hard. It's really hard.
So the follow through is missing, right?
Oh yeah. And actually, I just realized as we were talking about, the health side of things, because as Nell said, we were also joking about how anybody that's been in like a calorie deficit, it feels hard, and it's hard relative to, of course, like what it is you're going through. But when you truly are in like a health phase, working on your health is such a slow, tedious process.
If you think weight loss is slow and tedious, just wait.
Yeah.
And I say this with love, because this is one of the best places you can be at life is working on a goal that is maybe not weight loss and really changing your health. But damn, is it hard?
It's so hard. And I actually just realized we filmed a podcast episode because, yes, as Nell said, she just recently got diagnosed with autoimmune. I've been almost 1 year now into my health phase journey, but like, I think it was like 8 weeks ago, we filmed an episode. And to be honest, you guys haven't probably seen it yet because we kind of kept it as like a filler. I think we should probably just like release it now. It was a very honest talk about the struggles of both of our health journeys and just like how many days end up in tears.
Good news, guys. Less days in tears right now for me. So
yeah. We almost need to re-record like an update.
Like do back to back.
Like 3 months now since we recorded that last one. So maybe we'll drop that next. But anyways, health phases are super, they make it hard. There's so many reasons why follow through is hard. The cold, whatever the phases that you're working on, just lack of motivation.
And the excuses you've always made. Let's not forget, we're our own worst enemy. And if you've said it before, the likelihood of you saying it again is probably pretty high.
Really high. Yeah. Really, really high. We're creatures of habit. We like staying comfortable. And it's funny, I think it must be like biological, or it must be evolutionary to like, defense mode, like to defend yourself, because that's how we stayed alive. But now we're like, not out hunting a saber-tooth tiger or whatever. So now that defense mode just comes out in like arguments or like, attacks.
Or like we're personally attacking ourselves, but we're just creating this vicious cycle, right?
Exactly. That, and sorry, that's what I meant. Like with other people, but even with ourselves, like we're just so quick to know where we're not showing up for ourselves, but then we go into defense mode with ourselves, try and justify it in our own minds. So, anyways, today's episode is all about follow through or lack thereof. Um, you know, we're going to come at this though specifically from like a very applicable standpoint because obviously as we said there's so many different ways you could not be following through, but when we're talking about like this time of year and the goals that you've set fitness wise or nutrition wise,
Yeah, we're
you know,
assuming you've probably set some goals at this point.
yeah, yeah,
If you've been listening to us, you probably have, right? Like we talked about that earlier in the year.
yep. So whatever goals you set, or if you're in a position right now where you're even still thinking about your goals, go back a couple episodes, listen to the New Year's, around New Year's, we released like 3 or 4 great ones on how to set goals that actually make sense. And so whether you listen to those or not, after today's episode, you might need to go back and listen to them again to make sure that the goals that you have set are truly lined up in a way that is both something you care about and something that actually makes sense for your life.
And this is how you
So
know she's the frizzle of fitness because she's taking you to school and she's giving you homework.
yeah. Honestly, if you're a
I give
client
homework all the time.
all the time,
Because the
if you're a
reality is,
client,
follow through requires a plan, and that's what homework is, right?
definitely, yeah, yeah, it's very easy. It's kind of, I always think it's kind of like church, right? Like you go once, you're like super motivated. By the time next Sunday rolls around, you're just like, wait, well, I don't even remember what
Yeah.
last week's
You
sermon
open
was
up
about.
your Bible and your notes, you're like,
Oh yeah, I didn't do any of this.
me
Yeah.
going to my piano lesson every week.
Exactly. So, right off the hop, okay, when we're talking about having a goal, automatically people tend to think, like when I think about having a goal, I think, okay, I need a plan.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
al- Almost anything really I do in my life, like any events that we set, even just on a day to day basis. But this is how I've trained myself. I'm like, I need a plan for today.
Yes,
I
I have a
think
notebook sitting beside me that is the day's plan. That's how I start my day, right?
I think it sounds like super cool to be like, oh, I'm just like go with the flow. Like I'll just figure it out as the day unfolds. But then baby, you wonder why like you don't get stuff done, or you're like, oh damn, I like didn't follow the meal plan that I'm supposed to have, or even just like forget fitness and nutrition. I think going with the flow sounds really fun until you wind up feeling frantic halfway through the day because you're like, I'm not really sure what I'm eating or where I'm supposed to go or whatever it is.
I hate the flow. The flow gives me anxiety.
Literally though, literally, I always am like, again, it sounds great. It like, you feel like really cool. Like, oh, I just hang loose with it. I'm like, no, no, I'm gripping on real tight.
My brother, the king of just like chilling. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie. I went to bed. I had a full plan. We were visiting my family last July, and I woke up and there was a fully formed plan that I was not part of, and I was like, I cannot enjoy anything today because this is not how I went
It
to
did
bed
not
with the
include me.
plan.
Yeah,
Trying to be
absolutely.
better about it.
Absolutely. You and me both, man. But when we talk about a plan, okay, usually we have like a very like long-term
It's long
plan.
term. Yeah, I always
Yeah.
think, and I think we all do. Where do I want to be? And we talk about this, like, where do I want
Yep.
to be a year from now?
Yep. Six
But
months, 1 year from now, even the end of the month,
yeah,
right?
but I can't remember what I ate for dinner last night. So is that going to be helpful to me?
Exactly.
Maybe
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, I'm 100% on board. I think like having long-term goals are really, really good because they keep you in the direction of where it is you're wanting
But
to
I think that's
go.
the thing. Long term goals, short term plan,
Yeah,
right?
definitely. So we need to be able to break that down because if your goal is just like rooted in 12 months from now, that doesn't really have much of an impact on your day-to-day life right now. And this is one of the first things that people tend to struggle with, or it's the reason why they're not following through. You say to yourself, like, I want to lose 30 pounds by the end of the year. Cool. What are you doing about it right now? W-
Yeah, because
Even,
if you don't have what you're doing about it right now, you're never going to feel accomplished. You're not just
yeah.
going to wake up at the end of the year and stand on the scale and be like, oh, and I did it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Even, it doesn't really matter what it is. You want to be more consistent. You want to build a business. It doesn't matter. You're like, oh, I want to open my business 3 months from now. Cool. What are you doing about it right now?
Mhm.
So the first step to follow through is having a plan, because there's a very good chance you're either not planning or you're not planning correctly. But we don't want you guys to just have a plan. We want you to have like a 24-hour plan because speaking of like go with the flow, a lot of us think like, I do have a plan. We think the night before, or I'm going to do this, this, and this. Or we wake up in the morning and we think to ourselves, I'm going to do this, this, and this. But here's the thing, having a mental plan is not the same thing as having a tangible plan. I'm sorry, baby. You cannot plan things out in your mind and think that they're going to come to fruition that in the same way they will when you actually write them down.
It's true. This is why I tell people to schedule a workout, put it in your
Yep.
calendar like it's a doctor's appointment,
Yep.
because I know I will push my workout to the back burner if I don't make it an important thing for me, right? And
Oh,
that's why I
yeah.
tell people too, right? You plan for your trip, you plan for your vacation
Yep.
constantly.
Hmm.
You don't plan for when you come home. Do you know how many times people are like, oh, I didn't have groceries and I had to just eat
Of course
whatever
you
was
didn't.
there? And of course you didn't, because you didn't
Yep.
plan for that part of the trip. It's the same
Yep.
thing, right? You have to have your 24-hour plan, because it's not just, I'm going to wake up and go to the gym.
Yep.
Do you know how long
Yep.
it takes to get there?
Absolutely. Not to mention, just like everything sounds good mentally until stuff happens that you weren't planning for,
Mhm.
right? Like everything sounds good from the perspective of, oh, yeah, I'm going to mentally wake up and meal prep. I'm going to mentally go to the gym at 2 p.m. I'm going to mentally like come home and I'm telling myself, oh, I'll make a nice dinner. But then you know what? Like your kids were in a bad mood all day. Work was absolutely shit. So you know what also sounds mentally good at the end of the day? Not following through with going to the gym and meal prepping and just getting a glass of wine and some takeout. It's very easy to mentally create a plan, and it is just as easy to mentally change that plan.
Yeet that plan in the trash.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's something to be said for like it's like um what's the term I'm looking for? Like when you have more on the line, there's more accountability to when it's written down because it's actually tangible. And while I'm a big fan of like pen to paper, also writing it in your phone, in my opinion, is totally
Yeah,
fine. The
whatever
idea
is
is,
going to work for you.
yeah,
Absolutely. I have a
we're
big wall
literally,
calendar with expo markers, right? Like,
yeah,
it's not glamorous, but it works
yeah,
for
yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah. Plus, if you're like me, I also just love the feeling of crossing something off at the end of
Oh,
the day.
so
It
good.
feels so
That's
good.
one of those
So
small
good.
joys in life.
Yeah, definitely. So if you are not writing it down, I'm going to tell you right now that you're not actually serious about how you're planning. And you're probably not actually planning. You're thinking, you're not planning. There's a very big difference,
I hear
right?
this all the time with like meal planning. I
Yep.
don't want to meal prep. Okay, so plan it out so that you come home and you know, oh, I got to remember to take chicken out of the freezer.
Definitely.
Because when
Yes,
you
that
don't
too.
remember because you didn't write it down, then you're going,
Probably
oh,
not
I have
going
to
to
cook
happen.
dinner and I don't have the stuff I need,
For sure, for
right?
sure. And here's the deal, guys. Like, if you are already mentally planning it, just write it down. You're literally already going through it in your mind. And so, like, as Nell said, first of all, it helps you remember some of the things that you genuinely just are likely to forget. But also, it was going to increase that sense of accountability. Write it down. You're already mentally planning it. And I want to be very honest with you guys. For many of you, you might say to yourself, like especially when it comes to food, like, oh, well, I just don't know if I'm going to want to eat that then. Yes, you do. Okay.
Yes.
Most people will complain about like the idea of going on, let's say a meal plan, because they're like, well, I just don't know if I want to eat the same thing every day. Bitch, you probably already do eat the same
You
thing
do eat
every
the
day.
same thing. Absolutely. I could
Yes.
go in your house,
I
open your
hate
cupboard,
this
open your fridge,
argument.
and go, these are the three things you eat all the time.
Yeah, yeah. People love to say like, "Oh, but a meal plan would be boring. I don't want to eat the same
Or
thing."
I want all
Majority of
different foods
people
that I've never eaten in my life. You're not
doesn't
going to eat them
happen.
now.
No, doesn't happen. Maybe you make like a new meal once a week, and I actually think that's really good. And I
Yes.
think
And I
even on a meal
purposely
plan,
incorporate more of that, even for like a growth perspective, right? Because I'm boring.
definitely. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Me too. Me too.
And it does prevent that, like, oh, I want to eat out because I don't want to make the same thing.
The same thing. Yep, yep. But the reality is, a lot of you guys are boring like us, and it's okay to say that. You eat a lot of the same things every day. Your routines are probably the same, pretty much, at least Monday to Friday, and then you probably have a weekend routine that's likely the same on the weekends too. You already know what's happening. You already know likely what you like to eat. So stop fighting. Write down your meals. Write down your day. Write down your plan because you're probably doing and eating the same things anyways.
Yep.
The other aspect of planning it though, okay, some of you guys might be listening, being like, I do
I
write it
do
down.
write it down. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, like
Pat on the back. We'll get ready because we're
yeah,
coming for you.
exactly. You might be writing it down, but Yeah, you might be writing it down. You might be planning. You might be great with this, but yet you're still not showing up for it. And if
Yeah, it's
that's the
like the
case,
to-do list that
because
never gets done. You're writing it down, but it's not getting done, right?
yep,
It's a honey-do list now, but you're the honey.
yeah, exactly. And a big part of this is that you're just not planning well,
Mhm.
right? When we're planning, the plan is not something that you are like shooting for the moon and stars for, okay? This needs to be realistic. It needs to be doable. It needs to actually work for your life and the other events that are happening in your day. So, one of the things we love doing with our clients is setting like a baseline threshold. So, let's say from like a movement perspective, right? Daily steps is something that I think a lot of people do actually struggle with. They maybe have an okay time getting to the gym, but then the idea of, walking another six, eight
It's
thousand
me.
steps a
It's
day.
me.
Yeah. It can be challenging at times.
Mhm.
So what we like doing is setting like a daily minimum because it not only boosts that feeling of accomplishment, but it becomes applicable and doable for your day no matter what happens. And then if you're able to get above that daily threshold, then that's just a bonus.
Yeah,
So,
these are like your floor goals, and then
yep,
you have ceiling goals, which is like the fancy everything's gonna happen, life is good. The floor goals are like what you have to do every single day, what you need
yes,
to like, right? Basement goals, the
yep,
foundation of your day.
absolutely, absolutely. So when it comes to planning, okay, you're writing it down, awesome, check it. But are you planning it well? So, like I said, we want it doable, we want it simple, we want it to work for your day. Having the floor goals and the ceiling goals are fantastic. But even with those floor goals, if you, let's say, are a shift worker
Yeah.
and you work a 16-hour shift and you have planned that you're going to hit your daily steps at the end of that 16-hour day, I'm almost putting money on the fact that it's likely not going to happen.
Mhm.
Um, because it's not based off you and like, oh, you need to be more disciplined. It's the fact that the reality is there are so many things that are influencing our day. And so we want to now not only plan it, but we want to plan it when we know it's actually likely to happen. At the
Yes,
end of
I
like a
will
16-hour
often
day.
tell my shift work parents, especially,
Yeah.
your first day off is not the get everything done day. That is
Yep.
the recover, spend time with your family. Then your next day is where you should start planning those things because the
Yep.
reality is you're not going to do it.
Hmm.
Your family expects you to be around. You're probably exhausted. You feel like you've lived jet lag because you really have by staying up all
Yeah.
night,
Yeah.
right? And so this should not be the day where you've decided you're going to go to the gym, you're going to grocery shop, you're going to meal plan,
Mhm.
you're going to, I don't know, what do you do with your kids? You're going to have a play date at the trampoline park. That's not a good day to be doing those things.
No, no. It has to be doable. It has to be actionable. It has to be realistic, which brings us to point number three with why your plans aren't actually plans that are going to have you being successful, right? You might be planning in a hopeful way. You might be planning as if your plans are a wish instead of doable or realistic, right? And a
And I
big,
think we all fall into this because when we're taking inspiration from other people and social media and things like that, how many
yeah,
of you have seen like start my day with me and it's like a 5 a.m. start? I'm not getting my ass
like,
out of bed at
no,
5 a.m. I have tried.
yes.
I continuously fail. And that plan is not going to work for me. But when I
Yep.
see it constantly being, this is, you're going to be a millionaire if you do this. It's hard
Yeah.
not to want to do that, right?
Definitely, definitely. Social media, there's a ton of great ideas, there's a ton of great inspiration, but you can be inspired by something while realizing this is never actually applicable for me.
True.
I do it all the time. I literally
Yes.
yesterday I went down a rabbit hole of watching this guy. He's just from a content creation perspective, the videos he makes are amazing. And I was like, wow, these are so good, like the transitions, everything. I'm always looking for new ideas, but I was so inspired while recognizing I will never do any of this.
Right. Exactly.
And that's okay because it still inspired me to be find new ways to be creative within my own realm.
Hmm.
And that's what we need to take. We're not looking to imitate somebody else. We're looking to be inspired by what they're doing, understanding that we also can do things differently in ways that work for us.
Yes.
So when we talk about like planning in a hopeful and wishful way, versus realistic, here's what this tends to look like for a lot of people. And again, we talked about this a lot with our New Year's goal setting series. You are trying to do everything all at once. You are literally trying to overhaul your entire life instead of just taking steps that are actionable and doable. So, as an example, right? Let's say right now you're lucky to get 4,000 steps a day. Now, um, just kidding, not really.
It's fair.
But let's say right now, okay, you are up at 6:30. It's a mad sprint in the morning. You're usually grabbing like a coffee on your way out the door and like, I don't know, a granola bar. You're getting to work, you're going out for lunch with your friends, you're snacking on whatever you left in the fridge from the day before that you just happen to have in a Tupperware, whatever it might be. You're coming home, you're ordering takeout some days, or maybe that's the meal that you're making, but even still, you know that meal's kind of a scramble. And then you're having like some type of sweet treat in the evening. And again, maybe you're getting to the gym twice a week and maybe you're lucky to hit 4,000 steps. But now you've told yourself, okay, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to have something. I'm going to have a full breakfast in the morning. I'm going to pack all of my food throughout the day. I'm no longer going out for lunch with my friends at work. I'm giving up my coffee run order. When I come home, I'm having salad for dinner. I'm going to fast through the evening, no sweet treat at night. I'm going to the gym 5 days a week. I'm hitting 10,000 steps a day. No, you're not. You're not doing any of those things because you are trying to overhaul everything at once, and trying to do everything will wind up looking like doing nothing.
Yeah, because here's the problem. You'll successfully do it for a day or two, and
Yep.
then it falls apart, and you feel
Oh, yeah.
extra bad about it.
Yeah, yeah. And like, don't get me wrong, I know your intentions are good because when you say this to yourself, you're super hopeful about it. You're super excited about it. But baby, it is a wish. It is taking a dollar and throwing it in a wishing well. It's just overhauling your plan 100% is not an actionable step that you are going to be able to take, not just today or tomorrow, like Nell said, but every day for the next 14 days.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably things that you've honestly learned from like previous extreme diets you've done that tell you need to do everything all at once. So now you think like, oh, I'm going to restart that plan. And she told me online that this is what I have to do based off the 12-week blitz that I bought. So I better do this. It didn't work for you then. It's not going to work for you now, no matter what. We need small actionable steps that are not wishful, that are not hopeful, that are actually doable, that we can plan for. And then guess what? You're going to feel so good about it. And you're going to feel so good about it because not just are you doing it, but you're not giving up every single thing that you've done for the last who knows how many years that you do somewhat like. It's okay to like habits that aren't necessarily good for you. I just want to say that.
It's true.
You don't have to hate yourself.
Yes, because in this entire scenario, the first thing I heard was you go get a coffee every morning. Well, the first thing I did, I changed this thing exactly, was I made my first coffee of the day at home. I put it in a to-go mug and I took it with me. I didn't change anything else except that one step to start. And that became very manageable because it fit in with how hectic the schedule was. It fit in with what I was already doing. And it was a small change that I didn't really feel like I was missing out on things.
Okay, super quick pause here, because if you're listening to this episode and thinking, I really don't want another January where I go all in and fall off by February, you are exactly who we built our New Year's one-on-one coaching for. Our program is called 2026 Results That Stick. And the goal, if it doesn't sound obvious, is super simple. We want you to start 2026 the way you actually want to end 2026. It's not about losing 10 pounds in January. It's about making sure you're still here with sustainable results come April, come July, come September, come next December. Still moving, still consistent, still seeing progress. We are going to take you through a 4-month, 4-tiered coaching approach. Month 1 is going to be all about setting the foundation. Month 2 is our launch pad. Month 3 is where we literally start stacking results. And month 4 is where we teach you how to sustain every single result you've gotten. Think about it like this: 80% of people fall off by mid-February. And let's be honest, you've probably been part of that statistic. I know I have. Committing to the next 4 months means you're still going to be showing up when most people have already quit. You're going to get programming tailored specifically to you, one-on-one support from me and the other Team Frizzle coaches, as well as community support from other men and women who are working toward the same kind of long-term change as you. If you're ready to stop starting over and actually build results that last, click the link in the show notes and apply for our one-on-one 2026 Results That Stick coaching, and let's build something you're proud of, not just in January or February, but all freaking year long. All right, back to the episode.
I know for me, when I took a break from fitness and I was working in marketing, and I just like, when I say break, I like literally, if you guys are familiar with my story, I literally took like 2 years. I was tired. I was fed up. I didn't know where I fit. I had regained all the weight I had lost. I was very upset. In that time, while I was working for a marketing office, I developed a habit over 2 years of picking up lunch most days, fast food, of going out for drinks after work. And when I realized that I needed, and also just many other things like eating anything and everything I wanted, but looking at it from a strategic standpoint here, when I started to get back into the swing of things, one of the first things I did was literally just one step a day, start repacking my lunch.
Yes.
Right.
Or even changing your lunch. I used to order what was it, like a 6-piece chicken nugget from Dairy Queen.
Yep.
Well, it comes in a 4. So I started ordering the 4.
Yeah. Small actionable steps.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be everything all at once. You know, you recognize that, again, I'm always going to use this as an example. But right, one of the New Year's goals I set that were so minimal that would have like had people laughing out at me was peanut M&Ms, right? I used to literally just take the bag. I used to just take the tub in the evening and just eat them and eat them and eat them. And one of the first goals that I set for myself on a New Year's that had me being so successful was putting them in a bowl and only sticking to that bowl.
Yes.
It does not have to be. I know social media.
I feel like we think we have to overwhelm ourselves with things.
It does. Yep. And we feel like it has to be this like big, outstanding, because that's what you see on social media. You only see what's outstanding and crazy. So then you think that my life has to be this or I suck. Mm-hmm. No, that is not the case, you guys. It's really, really not. So that's number 3. The last one I want to say in terms of why you're planning isn't working is because you're being too vague and not actually specific enough. So don't get it twisted. When we tell you guys not to overhaul everything at once, we don't mean just kind of say like, oh, I'm going to eat better, because that's too vague, right? Oh, I'm going to work out more. This is too vague. I'm going to go for more steps. I'm going to drink more water. These are too vague. We need to still be specific. They can be small, they can be tangible, but they also have to be specific. Mm-hmm. I'm going to eat healthier today is a wish. I'm going to work out more is a wish. It's a hope. It's not an actual plan. So that is something that we do need to get specific on. And if you guys are familiar with like what's it called? Smart goals,
yeah.
Right? I haven't actually referenced this in a while.
I always get it wrong because I'm like, these are the same thing when it comes to like time sensitive.
Yes, I totally agree. I always felt
I'm
that
confused about what fits where.
What is it? Yeah, because so SMART goals, if you guys aren't familiar, it stands for specific. Which is what we just talked about. Measurable. That's the one that lines up with the last one. Measurable, attainable. So like, is it realistic? Wait, no, what's our goal?
Oh, is our realistic then?
I don't know.
This is why I never reference it.
Yeah, see, me neither. And then the last one, T, is supposed to be like
actionable.
Oh, okay. So what are the actionable steps? That makes sense.
Maybe.
And then realistic. Is
Follow
it doable?
us for more advice.
Yeah. Clearly, you guys can tell we're not like textbook style coaches here.
She's street smart, not book smart.
I think the only 2 that I like really ever remembered was like specific and measurable.
Yes.
Because measurable and also the T at the end of SMART was for like time
specific, and like time sensitive.
Yeah, measurable and like time. And I don't really like using time because I think it's too much of a stressor for people. So specific and measurable, we'll go with that. But yes, you guys, it's being too vague. We need specific goals here. Again, baseline or floor versus ceiling. What are those specifically? You know, how many meals are you going to prep? How many times do you want to work out in this week? And for how long? You know, we just want to be specific. So that's literally point number 1 in terms of why you guys are struggling with follow through and how you can honestly change that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Number two is kind of plays in a little bit here to
Yeah,
what
we
we said
talked a little
about,
bit about it already. Yeah.
yeah, doing everything at once, but you're overwhelming yourself, right? So even if you guys you've created your own goal and you've made it very specific, but you look at your list of things you want to do and it's still 10 items long, it's too long, baby. It's just too long. You're going to accomplish nothing, as we said, if you think you can do everything. So, here's an example that honestly I wrote down thinking about this, right? So here is how you could literally decide what your steps are going to be without overwhelming yourself, but it could also be very specific. So you could say to yourself, I'm going to go to the gym 4 times this week. I'm going to go on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday before work in the morning. And then I'm going to go Sunday after church in the afternoon. I'm going to go for 45 minutes or 1 hour. And that's my movement for the week. For food, I'm going to have my meal prepped breakfast, breakfast burritos, let's say, right? I'm still going to keep my afternoon lunch out with my friends on Tuesdays and Thursdays. For dinner, I'm going to make a slow cooker, like cheesy chicken dish with rice, but then I'm also going to have leftovers so I can bring that chicken for lunches on the days that I'm not going out. On my other lunch days, I might have a salad. If I'm hungry, I'm going to have a snack of hard boiled eggs and some peanut butter. Actually, a fire combo, by the way, if anybody's like, what the hell? And I'm also going to have a protein shake every afternoon. At night, I'm going to give myself a wiggle room of 2 Oreo cookies if I do actually feel like them. This is literally, I know that's like a lot of verbiage for you guys in one podcast, but
But I
it
think
just
that's
gives.
important, right? Because it is specific. You have
Yep.
given it timeline. You have
Yep.
given it specificity. You're
Okay.
being specific, but you're also incorporating what you're already doing.
Exactly. Exactly. And even though it sounds like a lot, if you guys click, back by 30 seconds or whatever and listen again, you'll see that the focus is actually only on two things. It's on working out. When is it happening? How is it happening? For how long is it happening? And nutrition. What am I eating? When am I eating it? That's it. There's no meditation. There's no 5 a.m. Oh, I got to go and walk 10,000 steps today. There's no, I have to give up, all sugar or anything else. I have to journal for 20 minutes a day or anything like that. It's just those two focuses.
And I think this is the difference between like the laundry list of things, right? Like 10, 12, 15 items
Yep.
versus 2 items, but laid out,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes it's not about making the list as small as humanly possible. It's
Yep.
about cutting it down and then actually laying it out. Think of it more as like as a timeline versus a list, right?
Yes, yes, absolutely. And actually, I didn't even think about that when writing that out, but that's literally almost how it was, right? Like it's like the timeline of the week from an exercise perspective, but also the day to day in terms of just how the day tends to unfold: breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack, things like that. So that's kind of an example, short and sweet there for point number two, right? Do not overwhelm yourself into believing that that is how you achieve change, because you will never overwhelm yourself into positive change.
And the other thing I
And
want to point out here in your example is there was still the moments of enjoyment, right? The lunch out with the
yes,
friends. The meal prepped meal was something
yep,
you wanted to eat. It wasn't, I'm going to have broccoli and rice and chicken with no seasoning, right? There was still,
yep,
I'm having cheesy chicken and I'm going to repurpose that on my lunches that I'm not going out. There was still the you in it, right? You weren't trying
yes.
to change who you were. You were incorporating it into who you already are.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And this is where it's actionable, it's sustainable, it's doable. It's not a wish, it's an actual plan that is realistic.
Because I made the
Um,
mistake so many times is when I was making my plans,
yep.
they were not boring in a positive way. They were boring in ways I was just trying to like suffer.
Yes. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it
Definitely.
never worked because I was missing those little things like cheesy chicken that I needed to keep me going.
Yes, yeah, exactly, exactly. Suffering is never going to take you guys where you want to go because guess what? You're never going to get there because nobody is going to suffer through it.
No, because this really does lead into our next thing, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly. So point number three with why you guys are struggling with follow through is you don't
You
actually
don't
want
want
to
to do
do
it.
the thing
You
that you
don't want
claim
to do
you want
it.
to do. Yeah, and again, you guys, like I get it. Social media tells you like you can't quit, like you got to keep going.
I
There's
used to
just
be a
such
toxic, like, never miss a Monday. I live in a
yes.
shift work household. What a stupid thing to say.
Yeah,
I don't want to do that.
there's so much ideology that we carry just because somebody else told us online and we don't actually want to do it. It doesn't make sense for us. And then we
Mm-mm.
wonder why we just like hate this entire process. If no matter what your goal is, if you don't have like a compelling reason for it, if you don't feel like a pull, like that deep rooted like pull and
Yeah,
desire
this is why you hear people
to
talk about, like, your why. What is your why? What is your why? It
yep.
really is that deep desire.
Yeah. Even, Nell and I were talking about again at the beginning how we're both in a health phase right now. Listen, there's a lot of people out there that should be in a health phase. They claim that they want to improve their digestion. They claim that they want to have regular bowel movements, not have stomach cramps all the time. But as much as they want those things, they still don't have a compelling enough reason pulling them towards it. So they're not doing it.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter what's going on in your life. If you don't feel compelled to do it, you're just never going to do it,
And this is
right?
why I think a
And
lot of people end up seeking out a coach or wanting to change their lifestyle after
yep.
a really big event. They've lost someone they love.
Yeah.
They've had a medical episode of some kind, and it's kind of those wake up call moments because we have trouble digging into a really important, deep connection to our goals prior to something kind of being majorly eye opening.
Yes, yes. Actually, so right now I have a client that I've worked with for like 3 years. When she first came to me, her goals were her big why was she wanted to understand, fitness more. She felt she had taken herself as far as she could go on her own from a powerlifting background. She wanted to get stronger. That was her big pull. As we were working together and, we were getting her way stronger, she really opened up that she, always wanted to change her body composition. But she was nervous about doing it and things like that. But like we had many discussions and it was a deep pull inside her. So we switched to a fat loss perspective. She lost like 40 pounds. We went back to strength training. All that to be said, in the last, because this ties in exactly with what you just said, in the last 3 months, she has gone through immeasurable tragedy in her life. And our coaching has looked very different, but she straight up said to me, shortly after, I'm having a really hard time showing up because it feels like everything, all of my reasons why don't matter anymore. I don't think she would mind me saying she lost her mom really suddenly. And the follow through here completely changed because we had to really dive into what was pulling her forward now to move her body. And it was so
Yes.
different than what it was before, right? She felt compelled now, as you were saying, like losing somebody, recognizing the value of health, recognizing that her mom would still want her to continue to take care of herself. That pull, that connection was no longer about strength. It was no longer about aesthetics, but rediscovering why she cared about this was what actually helped her continue to follow through. Whereas if she continued to tell herself, I just need to get stronger, I just need to lose weight, those are things she currently doesn't care about anymore. I guarantee she would have fallen off completely.
Yeah. Yeah, goals
So,
are your why, your reason for showing up is allowed to change. And I think it
yes.
actually should because nobody in life is staying in the same place. We are all moving forward.
Yeah, yeah. So, how many of your goals do you guys actually feel connected to? How many do you feel a deep rooted pull towards? Like, do you actually even care? Are you lifting weights because you want to be strong? You love the way like lifting makes you feel? You want to have, for me, jack shoulders
And that's totally
always.
okay. I've absolutely had those goals and
Yep.
been, I don't want to say
I think
consumed
all of
because that's
those
kind of
reasons are
negative,
like,
right? But those were so important to me and I loved
yeah.
it. But then something in life happened and those were not the most important things to me anymore.
Yes, that's okay. But I think those goals are all like great reasons why, versus like, let's say if you were like, oh, I'm lifting weight because this is how I'm going to get as small as possible. Uh-uh, is not a good reason why. And it's based very much off of probably a deeper rooted like self-loathing, which also is just
Yeah,
not a good
we've
driving
said it
why.
before. We will say it again. Your goals and your reasons need to be rooted in love.
Yes, yes, yeah, yeah. And I always say to people, you can. This honestly, I wish I came up with this quote. I really wish I did. I read it in a book somewhere, and it profoundly changed the way I view myself all the time. You can accept yourself for who you are without hating yourself for it, while also wanting change in the next moment.
Yes.
This is massive, you guys. You can accept yourself as you are, while also understanding that you're not satisfied with yourself and wanting change in the next moment.
I think people like, 'cause I've talked about this before. I think people
Yep.
are almost confused because I've never said I disliked myself. At my
Yep.
heaviest, I dressed to the nines. I
Yep.
was living my best life. I still needed to change. I still wanted to change, but I still loved who I was in that moment, and I still loved what
Definitely.
my life looked like. And I think
Yeah.
that confuses a lot of people because we do feel like we have to change from a place of negativity.
Yeah. Yeah. You bring up a really good point. I was actually on
Because I
a,
think people probably say this to you a lot too. Oh, you're so confident. I've
yeah,
always
yeah,
been
yeah.
like that. That was,
Always.
you know, I
Yes.
wasn't hiding. I never
Yes.
did. And I think that confuses people sometimes.
Yes, yes. You bring up such a good point. I was on a podcast actually yesterday, and they were asking about my story, and very similarly, I'm like, I was really uncomfortable. I didn't feel good in my body when I first started, as I've talked about before. Like I was young, I wanted a boyfriend, all of those reasons, but nowhere in there did I ever say I hated myself.
Right. Yeah.
I think
I was
one of
uncomfortable in my skin sometimes
yes,
from a health
definitely.
standpoint, even. I'm like, oh, you should not be like out of breath carrying a laundry basket down the stairs. But
Yep.
I was loving life. I loved who I
Yeah.
was, and I wasn't afraid to show it. I wasn't
Yep.
shrinking down for people.
Yeah. I think one of the hardest things, especially being a teenager that started my journey, was recognizing I do feel uncomfortable. I do want change. I don't hate myself for it. But it was almost because I was so bullied, other people made me
Yes.
feel like, should I hate myself?
Yeah, you
You know,
question
and
why you
that's
don't.
yes, yeah, exactly. And I honestly, like you said, like I have been confident pretty much all of my life.
Mhm.
I really give that credit to the household, thank the
Yeah.
Lord, that I was
Yes.
raised in.
Yeah, don't get it
But
twisted. I'm sure we all have moments of not feeling our most confident
oh,
self, right?
yeah,
That's
no,
not what
no,
we're saying here.
definitely.
But
Yeah.
yeah, to just kind of show up in the world authentically as yourself.
Yes, yes. Again, it goes to the quote I just mentioned, as Nell said, right? Like we both still loved who we were, but we accepted we were uncomfortable, and we accepted we wanted change in that very next moment. And honestly, I've never met anybody. I'm sure is somebody out there who like literally changed their life by just purely self-loathing. And like, I guess kudos to you.
Yeah, come on the
But
podcast. We want to talk to you.
yeah, literally, that's what I do. But that's not how we swing around here. So the last thing with the follow through is, do you guys actually care? How many of your goals do you feel connected to? How many of your habits actually make you feel good? Do you need to hit 10,000 steps a day, or do you feel you have to because some guy on TikTok told you that you don't actually care about your goals and you're not committed if you don't? Who cares? Who
Mhm.
cares what Joe Blow said?
And these
We
are the kind of
wonder.
conversations I will have with you as your coach, right? I will
Yep,
look at what you're doing when you come to me and you say, "Oh, the scale didn't go down this week." I'm going to ask
yep,
you, is that actually important to you, or are all these other things that are factoring in more important? Because it
yep.
has to matter to you.
It really does. We wonder why we have a hard time showing up. And yet we have a list of things that we tell ourselves we have to do that we don't care about, or we deep down don't even feel like we really have to.
Yep.
So, um, what if you actually started to plan to do the things that you liked? What if you stop trying to cut everything out of your life that you've been doing, and you actually just learn how to incorporate those things in ways that actually are doable and sustainable and work for you and have you feeling good? This is what we literally help you do when you work with us. We don't give you a plan that is full of an overwhelming list. We don't make steps and habits and goals things that feel like wishes or hopes, or things that like, oh, I can force myself to do this for 8 or 12 weeks. We come up with plans that you can actually follow through on, and even when we do hit snags in the road, we help you figure out where that snag is, what we need to regroup so that progress keeps happening.
Yeah. How
You
often do you have someone come to you? I'm just curious. After they've signed up with us, we've discussed things, we're getting a feel for what their life looks like, and then we're
Yeah.
like, okay, here we go, hit the ground running. And they're like, but you didn't cut anything out.
Yeah. So you guys
people
actually,
are surprised all the time. They go, I
yeah,
feel like I need to do more this week. And I'm going, no, this is what you're doing this week.
yeah. So here's something that happened about a month ago. I literally had a new client. Yeah, about a month ago, I had a new client sign on with me. Okay. We took her through the initial planning process, sent her workout program. We did our first official check in. I gave her nutrition and like protocols and things like that. And she got mad because she said it wasn't different enough than to what she was currently doing from like a habit standpoint. In fact, she was walking like 12,000 steps a day. And I told her we don't need to be doing this right now and pulled it back. And she got mad. She quit. She said, this doesn't feel like you're going to be challenging me enough. I'm like, actually, I am challenging you enough. This is actually the first challenge.
And you're already digging your heels in about it. Yeah.
Already digging. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? Okay. But like, to be honest, yeah, I was just like, you know what? This is not.
Truthfully, when we've been doing this a while, you can kind of see early on if someone is not, how do I say this nicely, is not open to the feedback that they're seeking.
Yeah. But like, absolutely, right? Like the first challenge, you guys need to remember that having a coach, having the accountability is not having somebody always tell you to do more. A good coach should also be holding you accountable to the fact that you need to do less.
Yes. And one of my most successful clients in the history of my coaching career, I took away her entire workouts for 2 weeks one time because she was refusing to do less, and I needed her to do less. I needed joint health to be a priority.
Yeah.
And she like messages me all up. She's like, where is everything? I was like, I took it away.
Yeah. A lot, especially of the female clients we work with, like when I program deloads and I'm like, I only want you lifting at 50%. I want you taking the whole week off. I only want you doing 2 workouts this week. This is a totally new concept because they've always been told, do more, run yourself into the ground. Yeah. It's no.
Yes. So long story short, a lot of words to say. If you stop trying to cut everything out and doing what you already are doing in a way that works for you, you're going to be more successful.
Yes, period. Absolutely. We are going to set you up with goals that are actually actionable. That's a tongue twister. Sustainable, doable, and make sense for you, because this is how progress happens. This is where you achieve the results that you've never had before, because for the first time in your life, you have people programming things for you that you've never actually done before. It is game changing. It is freeing. If that is what you guys are ready for, there's a link in the show notes below. You can fill out a form to work with us. We will hop on a call with you next, talk all about where you're at, and literally start changing your life from there.
Woo-hoo, and then get excited for life changes. Get ready for your health phase. No, just kidding.
Yeah. Imagine. So on that note, guys, that is this episode, why you were struggling to follow through and how you can change it so that follow through starts to happen. Next episode, we decided we're actually going to talk to you guys about how we follow through on a day-to-day basis for ourselves with our work, with our life. You know, what are the actionable steps we take when shit hits the fan? So that'll be our next episode. So come on back.
And hopefully I'll remember to not wear black so it doesn't look like I'm this giant marshmallow of a human. It's my chair, I swear. I do it. I watch the clips every time. I'm like, what is happening?
No, you look fine, girl.
I love myself, but we all have those insecure moments.
Yeah, 100%. Believe me, 100%. All right, you guys. In the meantime, you guys can find us on social media. I am everywhere at coach.frizzle.
And I'm everywhere at coach.alana.nel.
And that will be in the show notes as well. If this was helpful, I know this was helpful for you guys. I'm going to just say it. That's how confident I am. So do us a favor and leave us 5 stars. Leave us a comment below letting us know what points stood out to you guys the most. And here's the thing. I know this was helpful for you. I know this will be helpful for somebody else on your social media or in your life. So do us a favor. Do them a favor. Share this with somebody. Tag us in it if you do share it on social media, because we appreciate that huge. And until next time, you guys, we will see you later.
Yeah, see ya.
All right. Have a beautiful day.